Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Rocket Mondays, a Rocket League Ireland six man's production. I'm Enron, of course, your host on the desk today, and I am joined actually by a man whose accolades stand tall in Rocket League Ireland history. Three-time monthly champion in the 3v3 scene, a 12 Titans winner in season one, the Irish 12 Titans winner, in fact. And he has also finished third at both LAN events, QCon and Dublin Games Festival. But most noticeably of all, he is the current and defending two-time champion of the Rocket League Ireland Seasonal Elite Championship Series. I am joined on the desk, of course, by Red Eyes. Red Eyes, how are you keeping?
I'm keeping pretty well, thank you. I was
Excellent.
just enjoying hearing about all the things I had done. It was great.
Just in case you'd forgotten them, just in case. Okay, so Red Eyes, what we're going to do, we're going to just kick straight into things here. So we're not obviously delaying uh, the stream for all those guys who've tuned in to watch it. And of course, guys, I know a lot of you were expecting it to be a YouTube VOD. It will indeed be a YouTube VOD. It is recording at this moment in time, so it will be uploaded onto YouTube. So do not fret, do not worry. It will be going up there later on today. So Red Eyes, I guess let's just kick things off then, shall we? And let's look at the current bits and bobs in Division 3. I'm going to just go run through things for you, and then you can comment on what you've thought has happened so far. But here's the Division 3 table, guys. Currently, Carrick Dan, of course, leading. He's on 4 and 0 in Division 3. He's on 16 points, but it's the average points that matter. He's sitting on a big fat 4, the maximum you can be on at this moment in time. Paddy, the huge underdog, the surprise contender in that division, on 3 and 1, 10 points, 2.5 points on average. Captain Quark is currently holding the third place spot, having played 5 games, won 3, lost 2 on 8, 1.6 on average. And then there's a host of 4 people: Joseph, Darcy, Rez, Airside, all on 1 average point per game. Cowardly Viking sitting on 0 touches, yet to play any of the games. And Dimitrov, Dormer, and John AK always all on -2 average. But as you can see, Dimitrov's played 1, Dormer's played 2, John AK always played 3, and they've all lost their games there. So let's go through the results then very quickly, Red Eyes, before I can ask you on your thoughts on what has happened this week. We won't go through each game individually too much, but basically the Tuesday game happened. 3-1 win there for Captain Quark, Airside and Paddy over Dormer, John AK always, and Dimitrov. A fairly expected result. John AK always and Dimitrov are kind of plat level, diamond level. Dormer, of course, and champ. When you have Airside and Quark, who are both champs, and Paddy, who is now a diamond player, was a plat player, you'd expect that result to happen. The Friday game then resulted in a 3-0 sweep for Quark, Paddy, and Dan over Joseph. John AK always and Cowardly Viking there. A fairly expected result, I would say, as well, considering Dan was playing in that game. And a bit of a surprise result was the game yesterday, where Carrick, Dan, Paddy, and Rez swept Darcy, Captain Quark, and Joseph in a 3-0 sweep there in some very high scoring games. Red Eyes, I know obviously you haven't been doing too much, or keeping an eye too much on all the other divisions other than your own. So I guess we'll keep it short in that regard. But what are your thoughts on this so far? And any surprises you see there?
A lot of 3-0s in this division, from what I'm seeing. I haven't really looked too much into the other divisions either to see if there's something similar going on, but yeah, it's quite a few 3-0s. No 3-2s, I'm noticing. Seems to be either complete win or, one game here or there.
One game here or there.
Um, I don't really know too much about Carrick Down, but 4 wins out of 4 games. That's gotta be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's halfway to getting the perfect playthrough, I guess as we'll call it. And once he gets his 8, he's automatically up. So once all he's to do now is get another 4 in the bag, and he's up to Division 2. So he's had a very impressive performance. But let's have a look at the stats, because that's what everyone's here to look at. It's what everyone wants to see, and to see the critical analysis of that. So Red Eyes, I'm going to bring up points per game first on screen here now for all the guys in the background. I'm also going to bring up goals, but let's talk about points first. And Red Eyes, if you found the appropriate screenshot by now, you will see Carrick Dan on a big, huge 508 points per game,
That
which is
is quite good. Yeah, that's very good.
the only person close to him is Airside on 445 points per game. He has only played 2 series though. Darcy is on the next one on 375, Dormer 343, and then you go down. And what I always say, Red Eyes, to you is, look, if you're getting over 400 points per game, you're either doing a little bit of ball chasing or you're just doing really well, which clearly is the case with Dan because he's top of the table. And I would say under 300 points per game, you're probably not putting in enough of a shift, especially if it's under 250. Joseph Paddy and John AK always the culprits of that there. Um, what are your thoughts so far? Is it just Dan too good based off of points, or from what you can
I
see.
mean, just looking at stats and results here, it looks like Dan is easily the favourite to be moving up a division here. I think it's almost a no-brainer at this point if he keeps up.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's look at the goals per game then. I mean, Dan again is 25 goals in 13 games. Have you ever seen a stat where it's nearly 2 goals per game on average? I don't think I've ever seen that. Have
That
you?
is, again, pretty crazy. We're seeing Dan at the top of a lot of lists here.
Yeah. And the next up then, Darcy, Airside, Darcy, Rez, all on point 888, 86, 86. Quark and Viking on 0.67 and point 0.6, and then the rest of the guys all lower than that kind of point 0.5, which is kind of the minimum what you're expecting there. Joseph Dormer, Paudy, Dimitrov, and John AK always as well. So you can kind of see there's a split in the division. There's one guy's just heavily on top, and then you've got like, let's say 4 players, 5 players that are like doing their bit for the
Mm.
team, and the rest that aren't. Would you say that the guys at the bottom need to do a bit more, or are they just unlucky with the games they've gotten? What are your thoughts?
I think they definitely need to, I'd say, to start ball chasing more. Just get more involved with the play. It seems like maybe they're being a bit hesitant and just not really getting in there.
Making those plays, yeah, absolutely. Next up then, Red Eyes, let's look at the assists. For once, Carrick Dan is on top. Would you believe it's actually Mr. Platinum, recently converted to Diamond, Mr. Paudy? 11 assists in 14 games, that's quite high. I think what we're saying again always is if you can get above point 0.5, you're doing well. Anything above point 0.7, 0.75, point 0.8, that's really good. And Paudy and Dan are in that bracket. And as I was saying to you beforehand, Red Eyes, he's the surprise guy. He's he's maybe been a bit lucky with the teams he's gotten, but you still have to do it. And he's on 0.79 assists per game.
I mean, someone's got to hit the balls to Dan so he can score them, with that impressive goals per game. So it's only natural. But no, it's really good. Especially from what rank did you say he was? He's
He
like,
was plat 2, plat 3 when he started, and then the other day, just literally the day, Saturday, he said he went on like a 13 game win streak or something because he started tryharding. He really wanted to go up the ranks because he felt like he was out of place. Clearly, he is if he's in Diamond now and he's putting up these kind of stats. Surely, right?
yeah,
So.
especially with some of the other players that he's in a division with.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the thing is with Division 3 and I would say Division 1 in particular, there's a big spread in terms of skill gap from the top to the bottom of the divisions, and that's just the way it is in those divisions where it's Premier and Division 2 have more of a, I'd say, a comparable skill. There's not really much of a spread in terms of overall skill in those two divisions. But yeah, Darcy on 0.43 at Reds as well, matching their stats once again. And Joe and Airside also doing a small bit of work there as well on 0.39 and 0.38. But the other 4 aren't doing their work, of course. We can't really comment on Dimitrov, who's only played one series. With the other 3, I mean, Dormer's no assists in 8 games, so is he getting forward enough? That's the question there, you know.
Could be the sign of a very defensive player, but yeah, he definitely needs to sort of get up there and get stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look then. Is he a defensive player? And surprise, surprise, not really. If you look at these stats here, where is Dormer? Actually, no, sorry, he is. You're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's right
Yeah,
at the top there.
I was like, oh, it's because I had something else on in the background, the goals per game one over it. But yeah, 1.63, but it's not that high when you can think about it, really, is it? I mean, if you're a defensive player, you should be getting around two saves per game, really, shouldn't you? I mean, that's what we
Suppose
see.
it depends how many shots per game you're sort of seeing from the other team as well.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see that shortly. But he's up there with Airside and Cowardly Viking, 2 other defensive players. Viking, especially, I think, is known as one of the more defensive players in the league. Darcy's put up a decent amount of saves per game, but everyone else isn't really doing enough, are they? I mean, the only thing you could say about Dan is because he's so good in offense, he's never on defense. But the rest of them, are they doing enough with those saves per game?
Definitely not. I don't know if it's a sign of maybe just other players are putting on shots that are just going to be difficult to save, or is it rotational problems where people just aren't in defense enough?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the other criticism I'd have then as well is, of course, that maybe the offense is really good in this division, but maybe not quite good on the defense, and that's probably a problem that's culpable as well. I would say in Division 1, not so much in the Premier, and that's the differences between those two. But realize the final thing we're going to look at is the shooting, which I'll bring up on screen here now and remove the other 2 from it. Guys, I mean, 46.3%. He's had 54 shots. He averages 4.16 shots per game. We can't really talk enough about the guy. He's clearly going up, isn't he? I mean, like,
Oh yeah,
how can you
no
not go up with
question.
these figures already?
Like when you look at this in a certain way, it's like every shot this man takes has a near 50-50 chance of going in, which is an insane stat.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not take anything away from Rez, Captain Quark, Cowardly Viking, Darcy. I would say I've said it to you before, and I've said it to other people, maybe, and we've done podcasts ourselves before in the past for the RLCS. Anything above 30% is a good number in terms of shooting
Yeah,
accuracy. And You've got another 4 guys below him that are putting up these numbers as well. So it's telling you again that the guys either aren't making enough saves, which is true because we've seen it with the stats, or are the shots too good? That's the question you have to ask. But yeah, I mean, like very good numbers here from all these guys. The only thing you can say, of course, is Darcy's putting up high number of shots per game, so that makes his like number look pretty good. Whereas I
Hmm.
guess Viking, Quark, and Rez are all putting up fairly low shots per game. Anything under 2, I'd say, is not exactly ideal. But looking at the bottom of the board, then of course, I mean, John's only scored 1 goal in 10 games, so he's on 12.5%. Dormer he's played 2 series. Dimitrov's only played one. Anything under 20% isn't exactly ideal, so it's only really 2 guys that are culpable of that, would you say? And they got to work on that offense. We know Dormer's a defensive player, but John's got to do a bit more of a shift for his team, right?
Yeah, John's really the one who has to look at his gameplay and sort of go, right, what am I doing wrong here?
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this division? I'll bring up the table finally, guys, for yous. But Red Eyes, I think we're both in agreement. Dan is going up. There are no
Yeah, there
relegations.
should if he doesn't go up, then he has thrown this season or whatever we're calling it.
Yeah, this season, which is a 3-month season, guys. For those of you who don't know, but I'm sure most of you have actually read the rules, Kappa. So we'll see. But what do you think? Do you think Paddy has a chance of going up?
I mean, he said he put in that work and he grinded up the ranks, like, so if he's willing to do that for this as well, then I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Quark holding third position, but he's played more games than Joseph, Darcy, Rez. I guess in my mind, or I guess I'm looking at everyone from Viking upwards has a really good chance of going up, I would say.
Yeah, it looks like the third place on this division is going to be really cutthroat. Anyone could take it, maybe
Yeah,
right down to the last series.
yeah, absolutely. I'd say everyone outside of Dan. Dan's a certainty in my mind, but well done to him. And good games there as well during the week. Obviously there was what 2 3-0s and 3-1, but still the games are pretty good. When Dan doesn't play, the games are close-ish, I would say, and then when Dan plays, the games just aren't close at all ever. So we just gotta tell Dan to stop queuing, really, right? That's kind of what's gonna happen. But yeah, okay, Red Eyes. Let's hop into Division 2 next. Moving up through the divisions, guys. Just so you know, the format always is, of course, that we move up through the divisions from Division 3 up to the Premier Division. And the guy I get on the podcast, or whatever you'd like to call this with me at the show, we'll talk to him in depth about his particular division because obviously he only knows his division really well and not the other divisions too well. So Red Eyes will be talking a lot more about his division in particular later on. So just stay in with us and we'll get to that point soon. Red Eyes Division 2. Lawler has played 2 games this week. No game happened on Friday, as you can see, and Lawler's top of the table at the moment. But let's go through the results. 3-1 in favour of Pat Dot in his first game. Junior and Lawler, they beat Chef, Berry, and Linksy 3-1 there. And Lawler, Berry, and Chef, basically, 2 of the guys swapped around and went on Lawler's team. They won 3-1 against LT Salmon his first game against Domingo and Royzer after Jay Prey didn't show, so he's now also on the warned list there in that division as well. That's the only division that has a warned list at this moment in time. But the games look pretty close, but the one differentiator so far it looks like to be Lawler and I'd say Jay Prey. It's hard to say Krungus and Pat at the moment. But just based off of the table, it looks like Lawler's in a similar uh, upward spiral, I would say, Red Eyes compared to Cartan. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say we have another similar situation of here we have one player that should be going up, at least by looking at stats and just what I know about the player in general.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other thing is, in this division, we have a going down situation, which is the first division has it, and it doesn't
Hmm.
look too good for Linksy at this early stage, does it?
It definitely doesn't. No, -2 all across the board there for the bottom three of them. I don't want to say too much in that regard, as he's definitely going down or whatever,
Yeah.
but definitely needs to. Well, we'll have a look at the stats, obviously, but something needs to change there clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. For Linksy, anyway. For Sam and Matto, it's too early to call. They've only had one series, so you can never really judge too early off that. And Sam's, of course, only gotten back into the game recently after getting his
Mm.
PC. But yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Linksy's going to have to change something. He's got a new controller. He says that's going to make him a very speedy boy. We'll see if that actually happens. We'll see if that's the change that will happen. Right, let's talk about the points per game firstly. Let's get into this now. So let's ignore anyone who's played less than 5 games. So that'd be Krungus, Pat, Matto, and Sam here. All right. So Krungus is obviously on the highest, but he's only played one series, so we can't really read into that. Jay DePrey's played
Yeah.
2 series, and both his series are 3-0 sweeps, so I'm quite impressed by his stats. He's putting up 386 points per game, which is a more realistic number when you take away Dan's from the last division.
Yeah.
And Lawler as well, putting up really high points per game. Anything around the 400 mark is good. So clearly, those 2 guys are the guys that look pretty strong for promotion. What would you say?
Yeah, I could say, or I could see them just fighting it out for first and second, to be honest.
Mhm.
I don't think they have any real threat of maybe dropping down. I know you said not to really worry about Krungus, but just given what I know about Krungus, I know he's only played one series, but if he were to play more, I could see him being a threat to the two of them. I know three can move up, but
Yeah,
still, just for that sort of first and second pride.
absolutely. It's too early to call it, but it looks like we do have 3 or 4 powerhouses in this division. Pat Dodd, of course, has only played one series as well, but he's up there in terms of points per game. So clearly,
Mm-hmm.
the top 4 in the division are the ones that are scoring the most points, and there has to be a reason for that. Chef and Royce are, of course, putting up decent numbers as well, but then you got to look below 300 points per game. Linksey's down there for a reason. Sam's only played one series. Junior is not really putting up enough points, and Junior has played 4 series now, or is it 5? So I know Junior is your long-term fan, Red Eyes, but have you got any harsh words for Junior right now, or is it just going to be all pleasantries?
Junior, you're gonna have to step it up. Stay subscribed to me, but step it up.
Yeah. One other thing I want to point out there, Riser, of course, has actually been very impressive, apparently, from what I've heard, in terms of his gameplay, but he's down there mid-table in terms of points per game, so let's not count him out of that promotion battle, but we'll come back to that after viewing the stats shortly. Goals per game, big story here. 15 goals in 11 games. Anything above 1, as we know, is exceptional. Anything above 0.8 goals per game is really good, and Lawler is stepping up big there with that 1.37 Red Eyes. Clearly, the top 4 are showing that they're the top 4, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Lawler. I think just the more stats I look at here, the more it does look like Lawler's gonna a very Carrick Dan situation of this man should be moving up. If he doesn't, then it would be a disappointment.
Yeah, too strong on offense, I think, for this division. So he's probably just in a slight situation where he's too strong on offense for this division. We'll see what his defense is like. So if I remember right, his defensive stats weren't that impressive. But again, if you're playing all your game on offense, you don't really have to worry about defense too much. Um, Anything below zero point 0.5 goals per game, we've said before, isn't exactly ideal. Linksy just about gets in there. Then we got Jamingo and Junior are the two guys who are culpable of maybe not getting their numbers up. So again, although Junior's had a decent season so far, I realize he's been a bit down in terms of the numbers at this moment in time. Jamingo, of course, as well, sitting just above relegation, whereas Junior's just sitting outside promotion. So maybe Jamingo needs to do a bit more.
Yeah, yeah. Just really get more goals in there,
Yeah,
at
too,
least from the offensive stats are concerned.
yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to assists, Red Eyes. And let me just make sure this is fitting on the screen perfectly this time, not like the last time where I was looking at something completely different. So Krungus is very impressive, but again, he's only played one series. Pat that as well. So let's look at Lawler, and I'd say Jay to and below. Lawler, I mean, he's clearly the offensive powerhouse in this division, right? He's putting up 1.37 goals per game, 0.73 assists per game. That's 2 goals per game participation rate, right? If you think about it like that.
Hmm.
And Jay Prey is also doing really well with zero point 0.5. Well, actually, no, I guess that's what's expected, really. But Lawler's the only one who's really putting up the numbers in terms of assists at the moment. It looks like a lot of solo goals are happening in this division. Would I be right in saying that, Red Eyes? But it looks about.
Yeah, it looks like Lawler. He's either scoring them, or what I imagine is probably happening is he's shooting the ball, it's missing, and then someone else is taking it up, giving him an assist. That's if I had to guess, that would be my sort of assumption to what's happening there.
Yeah,
Not to say Lawler is not like a good passer or anything, but just given his offensive stats earlier, that's what I would have to go with.
yeah, absolutely. And also as well, I mean, like half the division is below zero point 0.5 assists per game, which clearly shows that just not enough passes are happening. Maybe a lot of it is smash the ball up the field and the ball just goes in because they can't save it, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
that's what I'd assume is happening there. So a lot of work to do for these guys in the lower half of the table, but again, very early days in the season. Of course, we're only 2 weeks in out of 12, so we're only 1/6 of the way through the season at this moment in time. So guys, now you know what you need to work on. It's clearly the assist per game ratio. But let's have a look next up, Red Eyes, sorry, on the saves per game. So we talked about Jamingo maybe not getting forward enough slightly, and clearly that's probably the case
There
because
it is.
he's top in saves again. Very similar to Dormer, I think it was, in Division 3. So
Yeah,
similar sort of play style, would you say?
absolutely. The stats just speak for themselves here. Jamingo like sitting in net. Well, maybe not sitting in that, but on his own side of the pitch defending. That's where
Like
he feels
sitting.
comfortable.
Yeah. Jay Prey, of course, who's put up good numbers in both offense in terms of assists and goals. He's also quite high here. He's sitting on 1.67. I mean, not that high really when you consider that's like what you should be putting up anywhere between 1 and 2 ideally, above 1.5. But clearly there's not enough saves happening in this division either. So Red Eyes, he's doing a decent job. Matt Pat, Sam have only played one series, so the starts are kind of hard to read. Chef, Linksy, Junior doing all okay, I guess, but then from Berry down below. And Lawler in particular has made hardly any saves, so I wonder is he just cherry picking what's happening there?
Yeah, again, stats just pointing toward Lawler being an offensive monster for for this division, and it seems like that's all he really needs to be.
Yeah. No, I mean, if it's working for you, why change it?
Yeah.
He might have to worry when he gets up to Division 1, but at the moment, it looks like he's fine and he's in fine position to get out of this division. But Red Eyes, the final stat, of course, we look at is indeed shooting percentage. And again, there's only one man who tops this, and very not similar numbers to Carrick because he's an enigma, but Lawler is in a league of his own here in Division 2, isn't he?
Yeah, again, just exactly the same as Carrick Dan, almost as good, which is impressive considering it's a higher up division and he's still nearly showing a 46%. I think that was Carrick Dan's shooting accuracy
Which is
or
insane.
shooting percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you go from his defense being as low as it was to shooting being that, you can certainly see why it was him that 3-0'd both of his games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can see why.
But on the other hand, as well, of course, no one in this division has been particularly weak in terms of shooting percentage. Red Eyes. I just want to bring this point up. Only Junior is the only one below 20%. Sam, of course, has only played one series, so we can't read into it. So only Junior is the only one who kind of has to work on that because Chef, Jamingo, Royzer, Jay Dupre, Linksy, Berry, I'm talking about the guys who played more than one series here. They've all got a shooting percentage above 20%, which is okay. That's where you want to be at least.
Yeah.
So those guys are doing okay. So it's just going to be Junior who's going to be looking at that. A lot of the guys aren't really putting up a lot of shots per game, I'd have to say. Red Eyes, coming from us guys kind of in slightly higher divisions, like you want to be averaging at least 2 shots per game, and a lot of them are averaging less than 2. So it's not exactly ideal, would you say?
Yeah, it is good to see the shooting accuracy for everyone though. It sort of points toward a very offense oriented division. Especially when we seen from the defensive stats earlier. It could be just everyone in this division just likes to score. Except who's Jamingo? He's the defensive guy for this division. Yeah.
So Jamingo needs to maybe look on the old offense, of course. But look, that's it. In terms of this division, the final thing we're going to look at, of course, is the table here in this division once again. Realize it's so early to call this stuff yet, but we got to do it. It makes the stream interesting. Lawler to go up, I would say. Jay to Prey, Krungus maybe. My picks. Who would yours be?
Lawler, I would say he has to 100%. Jay Dupre, again, looking really good, but he's only played 2 series, so that could go anywhere. Like Lawler's shown consistency over 3 series, which I would consider significantly more impressive. Krungus, he's only played 1, so it is really hard to tell. But just given what I know about Krungus, I would say I would expect him to go up.
Yeah.
Unless he hasn't been playing Rocket League a lot recently, I don't know. But just give him past games with him. And then
going down, who do we think? Well, I mean, Linksy looks like a certain. Well, sorry, he's not a certainty because one win can.
One win could just put him up there. But if he keeps going the way he is, then that's almost a certainty.
Yeah. Probably, I would say. I don't know. I still fancy Junior to go down. Unfortunately, Mr. Junior, and I think Jamingo or Chef or Sam, maybe I'd say probably go down. It's hard to say out of those ones because Sam's started playing Rocket League again. He obviously got his GC last night, so he knows how to play the game. But I feel like the table isn't really representative because Matto, Pat, Krungus, they have all only played 1 game. It's so hard to call it at this moment in time going down.
Yeah, that no game on week 2 is really sort of thrown this out of the loop a wee bit.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to call it exactly in terms of that. But yeah, okay, let's go with that. One caveat I want to point out as well. You mentioned Jay Dupre has only played 2 games. I would like to mention, though, he 3-0'd in both his games, wins, and he was top of the leaderboard in almost every game because I was looking at the stats there. Out of the 6 games that were played, he was top in 5 of the 6. So, maybe we should give him a bit more credit. Maybe he is a certain.
Oh, yeah, it's still definitely impressive. It's just 2 games is sort of where I would,
Yeah.
Like it's like saying a best of 3 for a tournament. It's like
so
you want to do best of 5s.
Yeah.
Where Lawler has showing that
he's done 3 of them and he's won 3 of them. Yeah. I got you. All right, let's look on Division 1. So my division at this moment in time, and this is the table. Of course, there was no game on Friday, of course, and we almost didn't have a game on Sunday until we literally did it at the last minute. But a 3-2 win for Jakey, Timsy, and Winter over Panda, myself, and Pengu there. And then Jake, Dry, and Panda beat myself, Timsy, and Jo 3-2-1. Of course, there was no game on the Friday there. And what that means is, of course, Jake has stormed ahead now, Red Eyes, to a convincing 4-4 lead on 16 points at the top of that division. Pengu and Winter, of course, in 2nd and 3rd. So is Dry technically as well. And they're all on 2 points average per game, and I am on 1. And what this means, of course, like, so we had to add 2 people to the league, unfortunately, because AJ Dot, guys, just isn't responding to any messages or anything like that, unfortunately. He just literally isn't giving any responses. A bit like Touch, who we didn't mention in Division 3, just isn't responding. So take from that what you will. So we added Alux and Crossy into the division. We can't really get any more Irish guys in, so I added in 2 extra guys just to make sure the queues get going. Who haven't played their games either. Unfortunately, it looks like Jakey might be going down, but we will come to that later on. Red Eyes. So Red Eyes, let's look at the points per game then, starting off things here. Let me just fix this in the bottom corner because it looks a bit out of shape. Dry's top, 447 points per game. Kansas there as well, but he's only played 1 series. Panda, 414. And pretty much everyone is on 300 or more, except Jo, who's on 273. So I guess you got to say, like, Panda and Dry are doing a good job. Everyone else is doing a decent job. Jo's maybe not doing enough. What would you say from there?
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of what I would expect from, say, the likes of Dry and stuff. He's very good at intercepting balls, so he's probably getting a lot of aerial touches. He's obviously very good defensively. He's a really good passer, so I'm expecting a lot of points from him there. Panda, obviously very mechanically skilled, so he's probably, taking that ball going all over the place with it. And who else was it you said to have a look at?
Jo was the one at the bottom of the division in terms of he's the only
Yeah.
one averaging less than 300 points per game.
Yeah, I mean, this could just be a situation of a player who's maybe just not up to speed with the rest of the division. Maybe he knows what he wants to do, he just can't quite get there in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Let's look at the other stats then, and we can come back to that one later on. But goals per game then, of course, has been pretty dominant from Panda at the moment. He's played 3 series. He's on 1.08 goals per game. Jakey's on 0.95, Timsy's on 0.93, I'm on 0.89, and Winter on 0.79. And as we said before, anything 0.75, 0.8 upwards. You're looking really good in terms of goals per game there. So I mean, there's a clear split. Half the division are really good at that, and the other half are kind of below that standard. What would you say there?
Yeah, it's almost crazy how just cut down the middle that is. Like, I'm wondering if it's going to translate into the when we see the defensive, the saves and stuff, if it's going to be almost flipped,
Pretty similar,
or
yeah.
are we going to see we're going to start seeing more rounded players who are good at everything.
hmm Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of goals there, and like a lot of players in this division have played a lot of games, as you can see, because a lot of the games have been going, all the way. There's not been any
Yeah.
sweeps yet, as I'm sure you've probably seen there on the sheet. There's only been 3-3-1s and 2-3-2s. So this is the first division where really there has been like a very tight, games and stuff, and they've
Mhm.
been fighting it out. So there's more games been played in this division, which makes the stats look even more impressive, I think. But yeah, okay, let's move on then to assists per game. Red Eyes. Of course, I'm number one. That's just the way it goes. Like
Mhm.
0.78.
I would have
Pengu's
expected nothing less.
Pengu's up in point 0.7. And as we said before, for assists, 0.7 and above is really good. And anywhere from 0.5 and upwards is considered decent. And anywhere below that, you're kind of not really creating enough on the offensive term. So I guess you've got half the division there, and the other half are below. So I guess you can read 2 things into this. Red Eyes, I guess Jo, Panda, Winter, Timsy, but then again, Panda and Timsy score a lot of goals, as you can see on the other side. If you've still got the goals per game open, because they're on 1.08 and 0.93. But Jo just isn't creating enough on offense, 0.39 goals and 0.47. So I guess how do you read into this? Is it just 1 or 2 guys passing the ball more than everyone else, or are they just not putting away the chances? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, from the top three here, I'm not really surprised to what I'm seeing on assist wise. And then honestly, from the bottom three, I'm not really too surprised either because from what I know about Panda, he is a very, and not in a bad way because he's very good at it, but he is a very solo player in terms of he likes his ceiling shots, he likes his flip resets, he likes just going for the mechanical like outplays. Um, Timsy, I understand he's somewhat similar to that, maybe just not as capable as Panda is pulling it off.
hmm
Winter, I don't really know too much about, so I can't really comment on his play style, but they do need to start passing more.
Yeah. Okay. I
Definitely.
think I think it's unfair to say that about Timsy because in my mind Timsy's probably up there with Jake as the 2 best players in this division. Haven't played with them, but I can give my opinion more in a minute on that. But yeah, absolutely. He's obviously just Timsy's the goal scorer. Let me tell you, he's the one who puts away the chances. So
Hmm.
Winter has obviously been very impressive as well, and that's why he's in the top 3. He's actually been way more impressive than I think a lot of people have expected. But dry. Wow, red eyes. Let's look at dry stats here. So you can see a clear difference in terms of saves per game from number one to everyone else in the division.
Yeah,
So
this is what I expected from Dry. That's pretty much it.
like so as we said, anything from like 1.8 to like 2.5 is ideal. To be honest, if you're getting above 2.5, you're just playing maybe a bit too much defense, but maybe that's not a bad thing because he's clearly doing a good job on defense, right? 2.5 saves per game, 2.54 in fact, and the next nearest is 1.7. And then like everyone else is pretty much below that again. So what would you say here? Is it just one guy showing the rest how defense is played, or is he playing a bit too defensively? And then conversely, let's just take everyone from Pengu, myself, Panda downwards. They're not doing enough on defense. What are your thoughts here?
When it comes to Dry, like I said, I'm not surprised here by this. He is a very defensive player, and he's very good at it. All that time playing ones is going to make you very good at defending the net. As well as I think he is a player that likes to watch other players do their thing, and then he will either mop up or just be there when he needs to be. So I think that does leave him as the back man a lot,
Mm,
which, say the first two overextend and suddenly he has to defend the net. I could see that happening a lot with Dry.
yeah.
Um, with Jakey and Timsy, like I don't really know them too much to know if they're really defensive players, but I would say
Well, Timsy
yeah, they're
clearly isn't because he's
pretty
on
good.
top nearly in offense, whereas Jakey's obviously Irish Jakey here is quite low in terms of his offensive output. So Timsy's just doing good work, I would say. Jakey
Yeah, so
is
Timsy's like
defensive.
okay all round. Jakey, yeah, doing really well. The bottom three, Panda doesn't surprise me. He strikes me as a very offensive player. He would be the one who would be on their side of the net grabbing boost while your last two men are defending the net. Just from what I've seen playing against him, he just strikes me as like give me lots of boost, give me a cherry pick, and I will score it every time. But don't leave me in defense kind of person.
Yep.
Again, that's just from very limited time. The other two, yeah, Jo specifically needs to sort of up that just because his stats haven't really been great all around. So, but again, that just strikes me as someone who's just struggling in a division that maybe are a bit higher level than he is.
Yeah. The one thing I want to put about Winter's on 1.08. He got 6 of those 15 saves in the last game of the last series that he played. So before then, his
Okay,
stats would have been very low.
so he's definitely capable. Definitely
He's
capable.
definitely able to do it. He's just maybe not consistently pulling off the defense. But yeah, absolutely. Finally, Red Eyes. In terms of the stats for Division 1, we're going to look at the shooting accuracy here. And pretty much the top four, as you can see, are top of what they do. Like Timsy, as I mentioned to you, I feel like he's an offensive powerhouse because I've played with him now once and I've played against him once and he just scores everything he touches pretty much. He doesn't put up that many shots per game, but his shooting accuracy, again, 40% is an amazing shooting accuracy. Anyone who's hitting 40 or above is doing a really good job. 30% ideal. It's really what you're looking for. And between 20 and 30 is decent, and below that's just not really there. But I guess looking at the stats, Panda's the one putting up a load of shots per game, and he's finishing off 1/3 of them, which is really good. Jakey and Timsy are putting up a decent amount of shots per game. Not ideal, but a good amount, and that's why they're scoring them in dries and putting up that many. So his stats look a little bit inflated in terms of shooting percentage. What are your thoughts here, Red Eyes, in terms of the top of this board?
Top of the board, to see Dry there. Whenever he is playing defensive, obviously he's not getting as many shots on goal, but when he does get them, he's putting them away, which I expect from Dry. Timsy, like you said, he is putting away the balls that people are hitting to him, so that stat clearly shows he's definitely a capable scorer. Jakey as well strikes me as a very offensive player, so sort of what I like to see from him. Panda
Mm,
as well. He's putting a lot of shots out there, so and a third of them going in is a really good stat for 45. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And then conversely, then obviously it's myself and Winter mid-table. Kansas only played one series below the 20. Then I hate picking on Jo. Jo's such a lovely guy, but he's below that stat. And Pengu as well, surprisingly, number two in the league, only 14.29%. Um, Conversely, like Pengu was top of the assist leaderboard, where like he was second to me, but his shooting is way down in comparison. So what are your thoughts here in the bottom three in particular? I guess.
specifically with Pengu, this is where I would have said this is where I would have guessed he would have struggled with the most, just having played with him. Like Pengu is good at threes, 99% of the time, but I think when it just comes to putting the ball away, I don't think he's just quite as consistent, and this stat sort of reflects that. J.K., I don't know what he plays like. I haven't seen any of his games, so I can't really comment. Just that he needs to start scoring. And Joe, again, it's easy enough to say, just like, maybe he's just not putting away powerful enough shots that are getting past the defenders, the likes of Dry, and you know, when you've got such good defenders in this division, it's going to be hard to put shots away.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, then finally, let's talk about the division in general, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. Then, since I was playing this division, then we'll come to your forte. But Jake, looks like a certainty to go up. Would you say Red Eyes at this stage? 4-4, 4-0
Yeah,
rather. Should I say?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm honestly surprised Jakey wasn't in the Premier Division.
yeah. Um, so he was like on the brink, I guess. Himself and Timsy were the two players that were on the brink with Ghost and Blah. But the reason why they got
Yeah,
in was because they were Irish, even though they were pretty much all four of them were the same MMR. So we were like, we'll put the two Irish guys in there, put the two non-Irish out of there, if that makes sense. That was that was
yeah,
the thinking behind that because it was the first season of the Premier. But yeah, he's obviously been really good. His games have all been 3-1s. Well, 3-1, 3-1, 3-2, 3-1. So obviously he's there. He's finishing off these games. Penguin Winter, second, third. Who do you like? So I guess who do you think's going to take the next two spots? Hint, hint, it's me. Sorry.
um, I'm honestly surprised not to see you and Dry in the top three. Like Pengu's good and stuff, but what wins games is goals, and you're very good at scoring goals from what I've seen. From past experiences. So
Good at
I would
bumping.
expect you to be in that top three. So I want to see an improvement there, Rob.
Oh, sorry. I've been trying my hardest. It's just the way it goes.
It's
Um,
because you got your time taken with the stats. You
yeah,
can't practice as much as everyone else.
exactly. My muscle memory is just gone
Understandable.
from pressing keys instead of actually pressing the controller. So yeah, that's why.
Dry
Um,
needs to get out of his own half and get up there and start putting away the balls because he is obviously very capable of it with that shooting
mhm.
or shooting accuracy. So he just needs to sort of get involved with the offensive play a wee bit more
Yeah,
instead of being so scared to move up with his team.
absolutely. And in terms of going down, then I guess Jakey looks like he's in trouble at the moment. No one else really does because there's been that one game that hasn't been played. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, JK definitely is. It's very easy to point at him and just go, "Yeah, that guy's going down a division," not knowing again what he plays like or what his general skill level is like. I
He's too
don't know if
speedy for his
that's
own good. Let me tell you that. He goes up for the ball and sometimes he just goes up a bit too quickly and misses it. So yeah, Dmox is quoting you here, putting away the balls. So
there we go.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean it's a very easy thing to do. Like just think, I have to get up here very fast, and you just do it too fast, not knowing you could have took your time, and it's a very common mistake for people to make. So it sounds like maybe that's his whole thing is just that mistake is what's crippling him. So
Yeah.
if he could sort that out, it'd be interesting to see if he would change there at all.
hmm
But if he
Absolutely.
doesn't get that sorted, then he is very clearly looking like the one to go down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like in my opinion, I think Jakey and Timsy are the two players that stand above everyone else in the division in terms of pure outright ability. I think they're in the wrong league, to be honest. They're a little bit too high, especially Timsy. I actually think Timsy's the best player in the league. He's really improved from what people expect of him. Like playing with him is like so easy, and he's so good
Hmm.
passing the ball and so good at finishing it. Like the stats don't reflect on passing because he's always the first guy in the pass. He's not the
Yeah,
second guy that gets the assist, if that makes sense. So
yeah, yeah.
that's normally say me or someone else, depending on who's with. And Jake's obviously just really reliable on defense, very quick to the ball. Will put away like he doesn't really put away the chances so much as you'd expect. Probably should score more because he gets in so many good chances, but he's there at the end of the day to like make sure the pressure stays on. On the other side, then I would say like so we haven't seen Crossy and Alex play. I'd imagine Crossy will be a weak link. Jakey and Jo, I would say, are probably the weak links too in terms of where they are. I know Penguin Winter are like top of the table right now, but I don't see that being the case at the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if myself, Dry, or Timsy, maybe Panda as well, get in there rather than those two. But then again, it could go either way because random teams and stuff. You can never really predict that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the league anyway. But I think Jake and Timsy are a level above everyone else. I think at the moment Jakey and Jo look a little bit below, but they're improving all the time. Like especially Jo, he's improving a lot. Whereas Jakey hasn't played last week. He played the first 3 games and hasn't played, so probably wasn't a good idea for him to not do that. So we'll see what he's like next time in the queue tonight if he gets in there. But
Yeah, it seems like in this division there's a lot of things that like everyone's very good at everything, or else you wouldn't be in this division. But it seems everyone's got one thing that is maybe just letting them down. Like with Dry, it's his offense. With you, it's your shooting accuracy. With Timsy, I believe it was his defense.
yeah, well, it was his assist really, wasn't it? Because it was like point two.
Assist, right? So he's going up, he's doing stuff with the ball, but he's not doing anything meaningful. He's going up and shooting the ball at maybe a net that has three people in it. Um, Jakey, the reason I see him at the top, I don't think he's the best at anything. I think he's just very good at everything. Because there's someone who beats him in like nearly everything else, but I think he's just so consistent at like everything. That's why he's at the top there.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like in the top three in pretty much every stat, but he's not number one in any of them. So yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Cool. All right, Red Eyes. Let's come on to your division now, and let's talk about the table. So quick rundown through of the results from the week. As the Premier in Division 3, we're the only ones to have all three games. So first game of the week on Tuesday. So a 3-0 sweep for Mayday, Walshy and Demox over Arctic, Ineffable and Fuser. Then the Friday game was a reverse sweep in favour of Mr. Red Eyes here, Blah and Mug over Fuser, Walshy and Ghost. And finally, the Sunday game was a 3-0 sweep for Fuser, Red Eyes and Arctic over Ineffable, Walshy and Mug. So really unpredictable this league, and this is why I love the Premier so much, because the Premier is so exciting. But Red Eyes will come to that in a second. But Dmox is still number one in the league. I don't think he played any games this week. He played the first one, that was it. You've obviously played 4 now, along with Mug and Fuser, while she's played one more in 5. But 3 is kind of the average number of games played now in this division so far. And Fuser's win, of course, gives him a lifeline. He's no longer bottom of the league with Ghost. He's now up to number 9 there as well. But Red Eyes, firstly, what we're going to do is we are going to look through the stats, and then we'll get your own personal take on all the players in this division and what your feeling is with all of them and how it is.
All right.
You can keep it as positive as you want, Red Eyes. It's up to you. You don't have to say anything negative if you don't want to. I'll say the negative stuff. Okay. So Red Eyes points per game. Firstly, let's ignore Vert because he's only played one series. Of course, we can talk about pretty much everyone else. Arctic is up there, 398. No one's broke the 400 mark, but Ross is pretty close. Mug on 382, Ineffable 379, Walshy 350, and Denure there in 330. And then all the way down, then Fuser made a Demox all below the 300 mark, which is kind of where you want to be above, ideally, but ideally isn't always the case. I guess thoughts on these stats first, and what's your general feeling on them?
Again, it's an interesting one because here we have a division where everyone's good at everything. So I don't think we're gonna have a lot of standout stats. Um, Again, we've got a lot of players above the 300 mark, which is good to see. Fusher, Mayday, and Demox are not too far below, especially Fusher and Mayday. So they could definitely do with maybe getting involved in the play a wee bit more. Fusher, especially from the last series I seen, could have been a wee bit hesitant, maybe a bit passive at times. So I'm not sure what he was like in the other series and stuff. I think that was the first series I played with him. So just to see him get more involved. Rossi's like really solid just in every aspect, so not surprising to see the points there. So he's getting the saves, he's getting the assists, he's getting the shots. Same with Mug. Same with Ineffable, really. You could just say that about everyone,
Yeah.
to be honest.
So there's no standing out and there's no weak link really in this division so far. That's good to see. Right, let's move on then to the goals per game. Again, let's I guess ignore Vert because he's only played the one series. Ineffable has played 2 though, and he's on. Or wait, no, he's played 3 in fact, and he's on 1 goal per game, which is quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a very good to be on. Having a player in your team that you can almost 100% rely on to score a goal this game that's very good. Of course, like he hasn't played as many as the rest of everyone, so it'd be interesting to see if that changes at all. But so far, having Ineffable on your team seems like nothing but a good thing when it comes to your offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Conversely, though, on the other side of things, pretty much from everyone from Walshy down, Walshy goes to Arctic, Demox, not really putting away the chances. But is that more so, in your opinion, the strength of defense and the strength in midfield in particular in this division, or is it that the guys are actually just missing shots that they really should be scoring? What are your thoughts?
I would say it's a lot to do with the defense. It's just players just know how to cut stuff off before the shot can even really even take off.
Yeah,
A lot of just hitting the ball straight down out of someone as soon as they take that shot. Not a lot of shots on an open net at all. So it doesn't surprise me to see so many players in and around the same goals per game and stuff.
you happy with your .69
It's a
goals per
very
game?
good stat. I think I'll
Yeah,
keep it that way.
You think you'll keep it that way? 11 goals in
Yeah.
16 games. That's a pretty good one there. And as we said before, anything kind of from 0.7 upwards is ideal to point or to 1, and anything above that is
Yeah.
excellent. So obviously you're just on the brink there, and anything below 0.5, of course, we know needs to be changed slightly. But look, it's all working out well for these guys. D-Muck's lowest in both of them at the moment, but that clearly doesn't translate to the table, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. Let's look at assists now at this moment in time. And Mug, of course, yourself. Again, let's ignore Vert because he's only played one series. Yourself and Mug are the standouts here, particularly Mug with 0.7 and above, as we talked about before, being the ideal assist per game that you're looking at.
Hmm.
Your thoughts on, I guess, the two of you in terms of that, and everyone else maybe lacking a little bit, particularly from Arctic, Demox, and Ghost downwards. Low point three isn't exactly great. So what are we thinking here?
I think Mug's always been well known for his passes, so that doesn't really surprise me too much, especially from what I've seen in the games I've played. There's a lot of times where Mug can either go for a really good shot or a really good pass, and honestly, you never know what he's going to do, but his passes are always quick. Um, a lot of the times you don't see them coming as well, so it doesn't surprise me that he is quite high up here on the assists.
Yeah.
As for myself, I'm just, I guess, just when I try to get the chance, just try to hit a pass because a pass into a player is going to get you a much better shot than just taking it yourself.
Yeah,
Unless
absolutely.
you're somehow fairy peak and can hit every flick the best every time.
Absolutely. Conversely, then, I know we don't like talking about the low guys down there, but anything below point 0.5, particularly point 0.4, I would say Blad downwards isn't exactly ideal, and that's more than half the league. What are your thoughts here?
I think we have a lot of players here who are very confident in their shooting capability. And we also have a division where a lot of players are very good in defense. So I think this speaks for itself when it's like these players are going for these banging shots and they're just getting shut down.
Yeah, and I guess do they need to change clearly for some of them, but would you say it's a big problem at the moment, or is it okay?
I'd say with Ghost it needs to change specifically. I haven't seen enough of Demox or Arctic or anything, but from the series I've seen with Ghost, he is usually on the receiving end of a pass. But I would like to see him be the passer more
Okay, cool.
because he's clearly got the mechanical skill to hit a pass out of nowhere. So he should
Yeah,
be using that.
cool, perfect. Right, let's move on then to the saves per game, and no surprise really, who's number one in here. Again, let's not talk about Vert because he's only played the one series, but Arctic on 2.37 saves per game, and pretty much anyone above 1.75. So that's Ghost, Walshy, Mug, and Arctic. They're doing their bit in defense. What are your thoughts here in terms of the saves per game here?
Yeah, Arctic definitely likes his defense. At least from the last series I played, he's very confident in defense. A lot of times, specifically in that last series we played with him, me and Fisher, we would be upfield and he would be left in a bad situation. Maybe 2v3, even a three or 2v1, 3v1 situation. He would, be able to come out of it on top. Delay it long enough for us to get back and stuff. So his saves are very good.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised by that.
absolutely.
Mug, he's just he's really good in that all the time. Walshy plays a lot. They're both really good ones players, so it doesn't surprise me that their saves are very good. Um, Ghost, he likes to play defensive, especially when he gets like really into a game. So again, doesn't surprise me.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I guess, I mean, we don't need to talk about Blah because he's kind of where you'd expect that stat to be. But Red Eyes, we're going to have to talk about this. What's going on? And
Hmm.
everyone else below that, in particular, Fuser, Demox, and Ineffable, I would say, are culprits here big time in terms of their defense. What are we talking about here in terms of
Well,
the
you see, I
defense?
just shut down the goal scoring opportunity before it gets anywhere near the net. What can I say? No, honestly, I've been trying to get out of that stigmatism that I had for a long time of my defense is really my best thing. So I've been
Hmm.
wanting to sort of show that that's not true, whether that be subconsciously or an actual desire to do it. I don't know, but I know in games I find myself up on the other side of the pitch far more often than I used to.
Hmm.
I used to be very much like I would say how Dry is in that division.
Hmm.
So I guess I'm just trying to put the balls in the net or hit
Sure.
some assists. When it comes to Fisher, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, he should have more saves than that because the saves that he does get are great, but he's just not in defense enough to be there for them.
Yep. And
Um,
I guess the other two, then Ineffable and Demox in particular.
Demox, I'm surprised to see his saves per game so low. To be honest, he strikes me as a good defensive player. So, and I would like to see that up. Ineffable. from what I've seen of him, he is a very good offensive player. He's very good at making plays, double touches, all that kind of stuff. So, not having played with him enough, it doesn't surprise me that maybe he's just a very good offensive player and not so much in defense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And finally, then, Red Eyes, let's talk about the shooting and what's going on in this division. And again, the stats speak for themselves here. Ineffable, the only one who's played more than one series that has a shooting percentage above 30%, putting up 2.89 shots per game, the second highest in the league. Or the highest if you ignore vert stats. Like, what are we thinking here? Like, this guy is clearly the offensive powerhouse, and then everyone, well, actually, just pretty much Dmox is the only one not putting up the numbers in terms of shooting accuracy. Everyone else is doing an okay job, considering that the shots get shut down in this division.
Yeah. So yeah, I did expect to see like a good number above 20, a good number of us there. With Ineffable, yeah, he's very good at shooting. The series I played with him, every time I could feel confident just banging it to the backboard and almost be near confident that he would redirect that in, or at least give it a really good attempt. For sure, obviously he's just nuts at shooting. We've all seen his montages, so it doesn't surprise me that he is putting a lot of shots on target, and a lot of them are going in.
Walshy shots per game are actually quite low. He's the only one below 2, but his shooting percentage is still good. So does he just need to get more shots on to take advantage of that, or how do you think that's going to go?
Walshy, I've been noticing in the series I've played, he has been going for a lot more passes, instead of just pure shots by himself. And I think he needs to find the balance between that, because there's a lot of times I think Walshy could have absolutely reeled a shot into the back of the net, and he's decided to go for a weak pass instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Walshy needs to sort of work on his balance of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And then conversely, down at the bottom, I guess, look, we said 20% is good, but you got to look at the bottom 4, I guess, really in particular.
Jeez.
Mayday Arctic, Dmox, Ghosts, kind of same kind of ones there in the offense. What are we thinking here?
Dmox really is getting carried, isn't he? I'm joking with you, Dmox. I know you're in chat. No, again, I just want to see more from Dmox in that. I think he's more of a passer than a shooter, so shooting accuracy, I would like to see it up though. I would like to see him taking more shots on that.
Well, actually, his shots are actually not bad. Like, he's fifth if you take away vert. No, sorry, he's fourth if you take away vert, fifth if you have him in there in terms of shots per game. So he's actually putting up a decent amount of shots per game in the series he's had. His comment in the chat is, "I put the shot off the backboard. It's been counting as a shot, and my teammates can't score them. Only possible situation." So that's a major kappa there. So like, he's obviously doing something. And I mean, Red Eyes, this brings me to my next point, which is the table again. How can the guy who's bottom in almost every stat be leading the table? Explain, because that's what everyone wants to know.
I think we've got a case here of everyone is an excellent player, and everyone has the capability of being an insane player. And I think we're just seeing some absolute pop offs when, and I hate to say it, but when Dmox is on their team. Because Dmox, you are at the bottom of a lot of these, but the stats don't lie. The stats do not lie.
Oof. Do you not think it's a case that he's enabling them? Because that would be my
I mean,
argument.
It could be, but the assists. Let's see, where were these again? Like Dmox is very low down there on the assists. It could be just that his positioning is all very solid, which obviously stats are never really going to account for. So it could be that. Based off the one series I have played with Dmox, I believe I have only played one, and it was with him, I think.
Yeah, you 3-0'd. It was ineffable on you.
Yeah. I think even Dmox himself will say, me and Ineffable, we popped off those games. But so I would like to see Dmox just get more involved in general, I guess, or just work on his consistency, because he's pulling off really good ones sometimes, just not all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess then here my thoughts, or what I'm looking for finally from you, Red Eyes, as we near the end of this stream, guys, and thanks for staying with us, of course. There. Thoughts on the division, the players in general, the balance of the table. There's a lot of players now. Arctic, Blah, Mayday, yourself, Dmox in the running for the title. Mug's still an outside chance, I would say. It's too early to call F for him. I'd say Walshy's starting to fall away a little bit, but it's still too early. And then we've got the relegation battle, where I would include probably Mug could go either way. Mug could go up for a title, or he could go down. And Walshy and below, I think, could all be in that relegation battle. Yeah, what are your thoughts there? And I guess on each of the players.
I think we're seeing a lot of the players who have a chance to be at the top are some of the most consistent players in like all aspects.
Mm-hmm.
The only outlier here, I would say, is Mug, because he's very good at all aspects of the game. So it's interesting to see him at number 6. When it comes to like Arctic Blah, Mayday, me, Demox, I think all of us have in common is that we're all very good at all aspects. You know, we can all pass, we can all shoot, we can all defend, and I think that's just showing that you can be the best goal scorer in the world or in the division, but if you can't defend, if you can't rotate, if you can't pass, then it doesn't really mean much in a division like this. Because obviously we've seen in the earlier divisions, like players like Lawler, who were just goal scoring machines, could be the top. But here it's just you can't be a one trick. You have
Mhm.
to be good at everything.
And I guess finally the relegation battle. What are we thinking?
Um, I know Ghost isn't gonna want me to say it, but it's looking like Ghost might go out if he keeps letting his nerves get to him. Because he has lost these games, he's going into each game already nervous, and I think we all know Ghost is a bit of an emotional player. He gets into his own head. So I think if he could turn that around, he could pull himself out of that bottom three.
Question then on that. Fuser, what was he like to play with in that game he won with Arctic?
Fisher was really solid, especially his shots. Like if you get Fisher into the other half with the ball, there's a fairly good chance there's going to be a good goal scoring opportunity presents itself somewhere. I think it's just when it comes to defensive rotations specifically, Fisher kind of falls short. And whenever you need everyone to be, working almost like clockwork on those rotations, that can let you down sometimes.
Vert's only played one series. I know we were talking beforehand that we're not really sure if he'll play another one. If he does, do you expect him to be going up? Because clearly he's on maybe a different level to everyone else. Maybe it's a bit too early to call that, but his points and all that, maybe he was ball
He
chasing.
may be on another level, but it doesn't matter because you can't 1v3. So if he's not trusting his teammates, then it doesn't matter how much on another level he is. Because, like I said, you just can't 1v3. If you're trying to score into a net that has 3 people into it, you better be RLCS level or you're not scoring it.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess final thoughts, Red Eyes. Is there anyone that's really impressed you in this division? More so than you thought they would. And have you got any final thoughts? Like, okay, so like, have you enjoyed it so far? What are your thoughts on it, and would you recommend it in the future as well? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I think it's been good fun. It's got that good level of just being like it's a fun thing for us to do, as well as take it seriously enough to want to win it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got that nice balance. In terms of players who have impressed me, I like to be honest, I didn't expect Demox to be top. So him being top has impressed me. So I will give you that one, Demox. I'll give you that one.
And I guess is there anything else you want to add in terms of this? You're quite close to the title. You're not too far off it. You're the closest now out of everyone else. Are we going to see Red Eyes with another title in the Discord, or what's our thoughts?
It's definitely up there on my mind that I want it. I want another title. I want another Discord title that I can add to the list.
The ever increasing list of titles that doesn't fit on your name anymore, where you have to press the plus and see how many titles Red Eyes has. Yeah. Okay, perfect, guys. So yeah, as you can see, they're Demox leading at this moment in time. Future Vert Ghost currently in the relegation spots. My pick for the title at the moment. I still think if Vert plays, we'll win the thing, but we'll have to see how it goes. If not, I think Mug will snatch it, or maybe Arctic as well. Sorry, Red Eyes, you're close, but I haven't seen enough of you in the games I've seen. For relegation candidates for me, I think Ineffable, Fusion, Ghost will go down. In my mind, they're the three probably least consistent players. Depends how hot and cold Blah is as well, but Blah, when he pops off, he really pops off. So at the moment, that's what I feel. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Red Eyes, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Rocket Mondays, a Rocket League Ireland production. It's actually just an in-wrong production, really, but that we like to give them, like to plug in the name there.
Official title.
Yeah, exactly. And what is it again? Is it at Red Eyes NI one two
At
three?
Red Eyes NI123.
And Red Eyes underscore NI on Twitch, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Yeah, there you go. You can go and sub to him there, guys, as well. This will be up on YouTube later. So if you've missed a part of it, missed a bit about your division, you can check it out on YouTube there shortly, probably in about an hour or two. Keep on plugging away at it, guys. Just because you're in a promotion, relegation, etc., doesn't mean it's all over. And it's a league system at the end of the day. the whole point of it is to get players playing a lot more, get the Discord popping, and that's what's happening as well in that regard as well. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Red Eyes as well, and we will see you in the queue in about 20 minutes. Oof.
Goodbye.
Bye.